Say soma udoma hotelfo ebenya de akwakodi ho anase edin ene wo nanso eni ho ehye nipa da sani ebetu akwiem ene onyankropon akotena democracy eyema bibifo anase enyema yen kwasi broni trim popa ene sentia wadi vaccination eba abibiman mu na family plan so mpo no enhye ben ana kwasi broni hyehyeye ewo krom enti a wode etoa yen eba ne sen ana gay ati atese ewo wiase afana nyinara ene wese illuminati ene wese freemason ene wese sumwemu ni nyinara ahyase firi he no broni trim po a wode sai nyema we nyinara eba no de atoa bibiman mu no ene sen we entram so hwe wake up Africa kwasi da we ni kwasi da bia awia dumienu ekopem awia no mienu live on Royal TV eye adwumadi a ofa poku danko ye executive director edema Free the Mind movement ene ofa Israel Nkroma a eye coordinator edema Free the Mind movement no ebeka me Michael Asma ho na yesim konya na madi dwumadi ho chiame na ensem bi atise no ye gina twekronkron so abakosem ene ntwere ahodro so na ede mo hu ba bia obibini ufiri ene mu a edro ene soma a wosombo na mabrofo sisi a che ebra so se call together twele kaye no etumi bam ne no ana hyase o Free the Mind movement dwumadi e fese wake up Africa dwumadi so praso say ye fa dwumadi live on Royal TV so kwase da we ni kwase da bia awia dumienu kopim no mienu na ya jo so adwenche na wasemisa ye ano e de ma wake up Africa abibiman moma yen sore
Siboni wa matia sai okroto wa matia sai amuna oba ye krumse oba betray ya mesu eche no toni ba eche no dia sanse akwanu mana dia sanyo akwanu mana dia sanyo akwanu mana dia sanyo akwanu mana Siboni wa matia sai okroto wa matia sai
This year, Memo Akwaba Ediba Royal Television video so a year Jumedia Yatuni didn't say Wake Up Africa and I shall be when you go so now when we say Wake Up Africa Jumedia say a bar. Now one thing penny form you be and like I said Jumedia some penny free air of fire Poku Danka our year executive director Dema Equefn Free the Mind movement on any bar Israel Nkroma on national coordinator Edema Equefn Free the Mind movement. And now some penny free I come home every day may did you make the ever so much. A Jumedia and a year the assembly deputy never come one seminal a Jesuits any Vatican Roman and Samoa Bayer Bosumi Mienu and penny free at Jembra at Chichimu at the Axelwano and Noah and Yeguso at Wasso. Now Ochi Mienu Sunday and penny free Jembra etc. and Semu ma of a yaw. Shall I my who said a year Vatican you know. Oh, but Nasa Vatican Acuña so. We your Henny San your president pet of a mayor who said and say Vatican a your mind na our president sign war SI a Henny Sacuña no transfer or your president sign your Henny. Nasa I hear no crowd here. Osha, like I said, we are control we are of a mayor who Nina. Now last week, a mayor who said, when you are Transacuña so pet near Catcher said, and yet the Biano, but Nacuña was and yet the Biana Betna Vatican cream. Natural say, or more Pobi, Anasa, no, my boy. Now, almost she said, a year Jerusalem, Israel, assassino. Debbie, no, on the pre at the assassino. The nempty history, oh, Masum. And don't see, on my prayer, Masaku, a honor, a yomani that was a Debbie no, Pope, a ho, and a babetna. Na hindi na, or the control we are saying a ho, and a betna their control. Last 2 weeks of our Emayete, sir, in some union. Now, Yabasra Musamu Franchaya, Unim say, you made the would be a do baby, not be action, Akoshe baby. And in Tibet 2 weeks ago, Pennyfree, you made the Edion copy before I'm a Nuntino, yen to me, I'm a figure so. And then, Abrewa Pumaquem, I'm a Nedia. Yabeka Monsa Yabet Wasso, Eddie said you made me I met Jumedi Muchiami, meeting any coffee coming. Na Sabri, me Sambre Crano, a company for any hope. Na Yadomedi. Na Sanano, visitation ebeba so ewo mankasim 2 weeks coming and next 2 weeks visitation ebeba so wo mankasim opanyi kase wo fa Israel ene de abetena konwa nim say be 2 weeks ago ye ba ye no na ye me na metena na konwa kase nim ene de ono ankasa abegina konwa ene de ati agwanim na 2 weeks say ne of Israel ebeba mankasim enu nti mankasim for of Israel kan say omem for ha mo mo na mo benya
Miko
mo benya openikase wo ho if you are na fi ya kire kofobia for Eastern region mo ho na enche visitation ebeba ho general meeting wo ho 1st June ya sa se ebo mo nkaye 1st June general meeting reps ni nyina mo ho openikase wo fa ya opoku dankwa ankasa enim wo meeting rep bia no ensese wo yi wo film munim ba bia e be ye no ka okudi ehwa nti 1st June na sa meeting no ye di asese so ebeba so enu nti se 1st June ene ye ka dia na ne ye company fo ne ho na ya do madi na fe dwumadie no ye di asese so ava mo kwa
Ejo so
ba jo bia e bo ko ava pa jo so
ya de di
meba
Martin
Israel mo kwa ba
ya obi adia
we do obi adia shade da ho
na bitu
akaba
yenia
say 2 weeks ago isia wa ha na bibi edu akodi ba bi kakra akopie kumase
minye ye kra
yes
minye ye kra me yere nyanum bi firmu
sa
na so mkota mi rechi
sa
e ko jomo kwan
sa kwanye ne sa
sa
pepe ne ye
ye ni pa die etumi si
sa
sa enye se bia bo apayo
sa
obi se iza na na he na baby awo
ogana
ya ye
sa
enti si ahode ho
ye do wadi ase
ahode ho yaba
yo
na mbati gumbe
ene de minim se opanyi na ba wakasa o se ene mbati gumbe na me pa mo cho ahwefo ade hye yesra mo se dwumadie no ebia na woni fie na nso pese o ka ho obetimi aka dwumadie no ho a obekọ abefontentan so na wahwehwe Wake Up Africa GH Wake Up Africa GH ewo Facebook and YouTube ohwe ne saa obetimi aka ye ho dwumadie no nso wahwe ne live saa nso na SMS any WhatsApp message fabra me making kan amount number abefa so no 0206 519335 0206 519335 maka ne sa wie na fe yenko opanikese ho na fe dwumadie die fa hyeso oba me sama akwa ba bio bigili say bibia eboko
Kofi Thomas
hey oba ready abu
Kofi Kumi
oba me da se oba em say na watwi say mienu ne na ye bedi ahyem na ye di ahyem no o kire nsem bi mu de nsem bi tu a o ma ye gun say pope no nani abre eye Jerusalem asase na da ho no o aipa a o pekwan bi aso obefa obegi asase no na watwi say enemi no o ma ye tin sansem nyina na medikan apa atwefo chew say be 2 weeks ni aye ma ye no mo fa nche ye isanse dwumadie de panifo kopi ba bi ene ya bedie ya sena si de minim se ensem wo ho enu nti ye ensem rekra no ofa o ma aye kra do
yedi kan ye beda obias arefo
jo so
ene moa na bia mu ni edi nkomo na mas ya kasane oscar eno eduma de kopie ba bi nti ena 2 weeks ni ye ene ya ba na 2 weeks ago ye be wie no ye ne ka ni say Vatican ana muntu a wotu no obeda di say Jerusalem ono kwa ko creating the second Vatican city state Vatican fiwa yo babe the ho and a pope obey rule over the whole world ɛno na ɛde wie ama ɛnɛ no yɛbɛfira seɛ sɛ ansana saa anamɔ no ɛde ne bɛkɔ Jerusalem no aba mu anaasɛ abɛyɛ reality no yɛdi kan na ɛsɛ Europe nyinaa ɛbɔ mu yɛ baako a United Europe a ɔbɛdaa no ɛno na ɛbɛ qualify no ama ɔba abɛyɛ the ruler of the whole world because Europe ɛna ɛba abɛyɛ emerge as the next world superpower nti sɛ wɔn ntumi anka abom na wɔn anya one United Europe no a ɛbɛyɛ den sɛ Vatican bɛba na waba abɛyɛ the world leader. Book of Daniel referred to Vatican leading the United Europe as the king of the north. The book of Daniel chapter 11 it talks about the king of the north and only the reference of the Vatican heading the European Union enche enu na ebesi ansana waba be the world leader edi ahodo na atu na obi sa antichrist ebi se onti mpi bebi owo room se ema meye so fa enu nti na se etimi hwe se Europe no sabre na United dia na back of 70 medieval history say between 4th and 6th centuries, Germanic barbaric tribes descended on the ancient Roman Empire. True, that is Buama Empire no fears. Empire no fears in assassinum Vetice under the various Germanic kingdoms, Anglo-Saxons, Mongolians, Alemanni, Franks, Suevi, any Ostrogoths, Visigoths, Vandals, and Omokeka. Any good one are metamorphosed into modern European nations. On our Britain, France, Germany, Italy, near Omokeka. They came out of these ancient tribal entities. ID can be boy. Another one, one more back of some, and run mere barbarians, and the quantity destruction in the normal fun. Travel any travel, which I said, almost viage who they said was strength and a chair with status within the ancient Germanic tribes. And you know, no more ancient gods be Woodin. Any Thor, the obey the god of thunder. Anyone won't take a home. Intina said, all these tribes, Ubia G, Sab gods, Yidi. And I could do baby. Upapuna unya slaves and as unya captives no. Woman had a bababo afode Ediama, the god of war. It's no mere mass sacrifice. Bloody sacrifice in the name of the warrior god Woodin, any the god of battle, Thor, any Omega team, no, no, behind him say, sadly done by a modern states, sadly and be jai. Modern states, and Topona and a course. 1914, 1918, First World War. Same Europe for you. Who says, one man. I know, Anna, a signal the first stroke about the destruction of the European structure. You know, Second World War, 39-45, and also that destruction and change. Yeah. And Basua to the point is having the Europe crime move a chair east and west. And then they show say, Omudia and Tokadi Robo Fund. When the course after Second World War, and American Secretary of State. Somebody friend George Marshall. Oba say, say Europe must say mama yin na no. America dey ya ready say samutimi come hu bom. Eye wana. Ya go so mosne. Ya boamu na ma reconstruct the destroyed continent. Enti oka sa che o mo ye 1948 in American Congress a vote to sika $17 billion at that time. The whole of Russia was a sika. Someone am better much chadi ani yen east bono yen ka ho monya ma de. So no ko ti de friend come come. And on ja Marshall Plan Emma western part of Europe. The construction not started. When in 1950, 6 European nations, Federal Republic of Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Italy, France, only say ya kumbia vile ya bre. I don't think MPP for a time. Now yam wire. A great year reconstruction. It didn't fire resources near coal, steel, any they home. Then started trading, then producing on mass. Now any instead the best scheme money didn't talk on they are foreign. Only started. The other creative sa community was still cool. 6 European nations in a year. Say, a great year started. The new never a point. I'm here started the European Economic Community. In 1950, from this steel and coal industry, a biomeasure. 1957, and at the same state, 6 countries almost share room and almost signing the Treaty of Rome. It do said every day a big quite European integration, you know, that started that process. So the book of Daniel, I can give you say, in the days of these kings, shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom. So kings no time, no. Year. So time here na European integration, no so by starting. Na yet near who the echo. And you know, 6 kings in the days of these kings, you know, was making reference to this same entity, Vatican-led world, you know. Sana Daniel ya or not troll and what to buy. It's not European Union and I say European Economic Community, no, in PTSC and 6 countries see a shall say no Moody community in the buy about 72 honor other countries we it is say Denmark, Britain, and Ireland and so back. It is not just like ekikako. The woman and I will who say, after information, a deep beginning, I'm the who say, you started your initiative process. This I said, and to Kwane Bebano, and then you who say, I see it in the kind of book. Janunti and the scriptures, no, Baba can say, United Europe. And every be quite amma Vatican. Etimi ababa headi. Wetimi this and Yamanyama yakika nyina etimi edi abam. Maka ne say bien. Ever say ko free first video. And the bema history ni nyina me pesa meka na masa emre. Video no kasama mi wia. And betimi ato aso. Dia ko free first video.
Yo, adesimai your first video of Asay Yenhwe no. Abodi and that's no the Philadelphia Trumpets, July.
Video.
Sorry. Video I actually a brief history of the European Union. A brief history of the European Union. MC Ampato Ayeka
Union was born from the need to overcome nationalism, secure long-lasting peace and ensure economic recovery and prosperity after the Second World War. It all started in 1951 with the European Coal and Steel Community, established through the Treaty of Paris. As a result, 6 founding member states were economically and politically united in order to secure lasting peace. One step forward in this direction was taken in 1957, when the same country signed the Treaty of Rome. This treaty established a wider common market, referred to as the European Economic Community. The word economic would later on be dropped from the name to demonstrate that cooperation no longer only concerned matters of trade. The 70s marked a few crucial moments in the development of the European project. In 1973, the United Kingdom, Denmark and Ireland joined, raising the number of member states to 9. During the same year, the EU adopted the first Environmental Action Programme, introducing the notion of the polluter pays for the very first time. This marked a milestone in a decade of social movements and environmental awareness, which led to the creation of the first Green parties in Europe in the late 70s. Also in the late 70s, the European Parliament increased its influence when, for the first time, European citizens directly elected its members. Shortly after the first direct elections in the European Parliament, Greece became a member state in 1981, followed by Spain and Portugal in 1986. A first major revision of the Treaty of Rome took place in 1986, when the Single European Act, SEA, enabled a shift from merely a common market to a single market by further removing barriers to trade and increasing the harmonization of standards among member states. At this time, additional powers for social and environmental policies were invested in the European community. Following the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, as well as the collapse of communism across Central and Eastern Europe, the 90s marked a closer European Union, which was enabled by 2 European treaties. The Treaty on European Union, TEU, signed in Maastricht in 1992, established the European Union under its current name and prepared the introduction of the euro. The EU's powers increased in the areas of education, culture, youth, consumer protection, trans-European networks and industrial policy. European Union citizenship was also introduced, granting citizens of a member state automatic citizenship of the Union, which includes a number of rights, such as to travel, work and live freely within the EU or petition the European Parliament. In 1995, the EU gained 3 new members, Austria, Finland and Sweden. 2 years later, the EU adopted the Treaty of Amsterdam, which incorporated the Schengen Agreement as a legal and institutional framework of the EU, abolishing border controls within the Union. Amsterdam signalled a move from merely an intergovernmental to a more supranational EU. The Treaty of Nice, signed in 2001, was designed to enable changes within the institutions to accommodate the enlargement process in 2004, when 10 new member states joined the Union. In 2007, 2 more Eastern countries, Romania and Bulgaria, were granted EU membership, followed by Croatia in 2013. Another important milestone for the future of Europe was the European Convention in 2004, when the Constitution for Europe was introduced, proposing the primacy of EU rules over national ones, and also over national constitutions. The Constitution failed in the ratification process as a result of the negative outcome of national referenda in France and the Netherlands. However, much of the content of the Constitution for Europe was integrated into the Treaty of Lisbon, which governs the EU today. The establishment of the European Citizens' Initiative mechanism, the binding Charter of Rights and the strengthening of the European Parliament marks the present era of the EU. More federal, more democratic, though by no means without flaws, and more European. For these reasons, we Greens supported the Treaty of Lisbon. In this period, we strongly campaigned for the development of a social Europe as an area of social security, justice and solidarity. The enabling of European referenda as a means to strengthen a European public sphere, and allowing the European Parliament the independent right of initiative in legislative processes. However, the lack of transparency, democratic control and accountability are still issues in the EU, which lead to the disillusionment of its citizens. Moreover, the EU is currently facing unprecedented instability and uncertainty. The unresolved refugees policy crisis, the growing number of Eurosceptic or illiberal voices inside the EU institutions and the member states, the controversies around the TTIP and CETA trade agreements, or Brexit are some of the challenges we will discuss throughout this course. Maybe now more than ever, the future of the European project depends to a large extent on alternatives proposed by today's leaders, and of course, the actions of activists across Europe.
Yo, yakoshe menu mienu akoshe video no ofase yenyi no yakoshe aba na video no we a background history of how the European Union ebiana unim kwanye faso ene of a background history European Union was formed and how we integrating member states no ebi omurem yenko fa ho na ndi oho no kwatio over
86 countries are almost free European Economic Community as 1957 it laid the foundation of what scriptures can say future restoration of the Roman Empire, final form of the Roman Empire. Any book of Daniel akan Revelation so akan ye kwe ni ye bedru if say Roman Empire efiase it was not conquered, it was also rebuilt. Oba be taking the final form, and the final form when the Bema Vatican and our book etime tu anamo e dia ko pi Jerusalem that can at all actually abe yen ko he video no say ye kan the European Union no I started the process of becoming a future super power. In the sanity the first picture no yen ko he yes
the pato your first picture of Edema say the Philadelphia Trumpet, July 2004, the world's next superpower. The EU expands to 25 nations and launches towards its destiny. Pato ayeka da mufanto soma. Papa no fan kanase.
The European Union and the Dahano. Sam Rani Yamra Eastern Europe, Efiasi, Emma, Ekobase, and then €1. East and West net bar after the Second World War. And people side the nuclear fuel. You break it down Berlin Wall. And then you know €1 integration, you know. You headed towards being a superpower. That 10 nations from the East and the back home video the can in the Antina Plena, they start coming at Africa. When a London Daily newspaper, the Daily Mail, of our bunty say, they say, yeah, Baba expanding my year 25 nation union, Casabay, and having the Mbeka on. Already, European Union, one motto, HSA, many tongues, one voice. Many tongues, one voice. You go read second picture.
The second picture na body dasono Daily Mail, 26 April 2004. Will the new EU get lost in translation?
Engineer Ababeda. I had an impression okay kind languages are one use European Union.
Okay. If I was speaking in tongues, the EU's 20 languages, current, English, French, German, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, Dutch, Danish, Swedish, Greek, Finnish, Lithuanian, okay, Mongolian, Hungarian, Czech, Slovenia, Slovak, Polish, Maltese, and Estonia, Latvian.
Okay. Languages are currently the translating war EU meetings. Because Toronto can say Vatican never lead the crusade to unite all these different people and languages are a war Europe. And Yakwakuban said, during the history, from the time Roman Empire, at certain times, leaders, European leaders, have tried senior to restore and that's on resurrect Roman Empire. Now, Emperor Justinian, Onona 533. Ode Emraba said, to say one said the Bishop of Rome. Onona the head of all the Roman Catholic churches. That's Abraham went in Yama because Abraham now also goes for I occupy a portion of Rome. And your man, the General Belisarius, Okoweji war, first or attack Vandals North Africa, and I don't buy also goes for and Visigoths, or no, 2 almost 3 Justinian, or no name wrestle. One was starting here in an attempt to revive and answer to resurrect the Roman Empire. And he be by Charles the Great, but the Yankasani Charlemagne. Charlemagne so by also be nobody now barbaric nations, the tribe of France. And the moon on the pay by every day Christmas Day and I put a crown on the emperor of the French, the Romans. Charlemagne who and the legacy in now the Bassa. Orukwena obi so ba na friend Otto the Great. Also be pege ni mu be ye bia amfa ena okoe. Ena Charles the Fifth enso ba obe ye bia anyeyi. Na eni ara Napoleon bai. Also ba na okoshi at the Waterloo ena ofiase. Na be the Axis power Mussolini any Adolf Hitler also by for 6 times. Attempts almost near year senior on the revival Roman Empire according to the scriptures. Now so the scriptures now can say the 7th attempt. Your class are near about numbers 7. Near now can say the number of profession near oh yeah no correct. There's only 7, the number 7 in the Bible. Ejnahoma, the program of Yah on behalf of the people. If you need a Sabbath, Oba dear say 7 day, Mehumenda, Intino, on Monday to my anybody now say we should rest on the 7th day. That is the program of Yah on behalf of the people. And do call scripture where I say the Sabbath was made for man. Program of Yah on behalf. It's a 7-year program of Yah on behalf of man there. Also the 7th attempt, a very successful. And we'll count Revelation 17:12 said, the leaders of the 10 kingdoms shall give their power to the beast. And a beso CD. I'm here to hear. Yeah, next picture. Yeah, can you pictures in
the next picture, the 3rd picture. The Philadelphia Trumpet, July 2004. The 7th resurrection of the Holy Roman Empire. Patrick Cabra, MC Amufantis, my name. Justinian, Charlemagne, Otto the Great, Charles the Fifth, Napoleon, the Axis power, Mussolini, and Hitler. These are the 6 attempts. Until we are saying the 7th attempt. And nona a bar, a Bema Vatican, and to me to an among Apakupi Jerusalem. It is say yet then, the 7th attempt in the day. And ba say ya, any say ya. The history of a choir will be repeating it. And the answer may cast up be free. Now, the woman said, the 7th attempt, number 7, a corresponding me who said, oh, bad, yeah, she says, 7 times, then you be yama. 6 lady are me, the 7th time, you be yama. Now, if Yama says, say, try any quiet, near go share, and you may be.
Mobaka, Nebuchadnezzar time. Unya vision about a multi-metallic image. Yanko next fan concept.
Okay. Next picture. Next picture, Nebuchadnezzar's vision of the multi-metallic image in the book of Daniel. MC Ampatomo Fantasuma. Okay.
And Daniel Church himself had in a golden head, silver arms and breasts. And Greek Empire, no, brass and also bronze, stomach and thighs. And sana iron legs. And feet in a mixture of iron and clay. And when I say we are seeing that is the final form of the European Union. The new neighbor will pay ama Omina United under Vatican. The new neighbor Buano Amo Tuanamo na Odiababi to Jerusalem. That the other thing say, Abacosam Kakra can we when say, a Cobasa Roman Empire ban. It was such a huge empire. All the empires before me in answer singing the can India. In the empires are not be ruling over a big earth. In the every Emma Emperor be near Brano. Diocletian or no by no Bechichemu into 4 units. Any Bianya governor, sending a Bema governorship and as a rulership with my Merman. 27 years later, so 25 years later, and a Constantine by. No, no, buy no cancer, we will move capital from Rome, not the Constantinople. And you know, a government said, a new change, you know, and in the drama, and 9 you know, and the 2 legs, you know, of the image, you know, Bakuya West, and a Bakuya East. And he will soon, the dying, a Koya Nipa, the 9 you know. In the 9 you know, I could represent the eastern part of the empire and the western part of the empire. And the eastern part of the empire, 476 and the fierce. The fierce, you know, any attempt, Roma 6 times. Say, you must have the jack, maybe a general, and I see in 7th attempt, you know, and a bit me, Abba Bebwa, Amai. It was the empire no sure as 476 AD no. Sounds 1453 and Constantinople and super as a text one taking over the capital. In the attempts are moving now to resurrect no. Idea was scripture Musa said never banswa and never ban son of Vatican. But you need to anamo no dia koleni. You go next picture.
The next picture, no, woman on the scarlet colored beast with 7 heads and 10 horns.
Revelation 17, 3, 4, 5, 12, 12, and 13. And on that, you can't pictures you want some more hand. Revelation 17, verses 3, 4, 5. Happy 1 John 12 and 13.
Okay. Revelation chapter 17, verse 3.
3 to 5.
Okay. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. 5. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abomination of the earth. Of 5, near Jampico.
12 and 13.
12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but received power as kings, 1 hour with the beast. 13. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast.
Enti, the king can a ɛyɛ mfoni ɛda hɔ yi ɔbaa no ɔte so no because scripture mu no woman egyina hɔ ma ɔbaa adeɛ true church ɛna harlot egyina hɔ ma false church enti ɔbaa no ɔte hɔ a okura golden cap no ɛna representing Vatican 7 heads no ɛna na abɛyɛ group of 7 European nations ya ni America ni Canada ni Japan abɛka ho ɛna 10 horns no yɛ 10 European nations no a yɛkɔ Nebuchadnezzar image no mu a egyina hɔ ma ne toes no the toes of the man ɛno so yɛ 10 enti adekorɔ no a na Daniel aka adekorɔ no a na Revelation so ɛka yɛnkɔ yɛ next picture because okay kan mystery Babylon the Great into called the next picture no
the next picture no mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abomination of the earth. But mo fanto so mai na opamfan kana se
enti onu nie we go there wa ya ni Clara amwo gun se Vatican asem and ayeka all drive with the final form to say you we actually in the form of a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. Ọdún náà ti so náà ẹnu náà mọ ohun the final super power ẹgbẹ́ wíyásí predominantly European Union náà.
Ẹgbẹ́ sọ fà ọ̀bùn túmí ọmọ pírí ní Europe pírí ní ọmọ pírí àmàpò.
Ẹnu náà ẹbẹ́ mánà tí ní abá bẹ́ yẹ the whole world sẹ́ni èsì tiẹ̀ nù. Ọkàn kálọ̀sì bí scarlet ẹni purple ẹni the colours of the Roman Catholic cardinals and bishops. The next picture
no and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color. Pastor Ayekradwa Mufantu Sumaye. And was in Revelation 17:4.
Yeah, and
Makin kind of that.
And the other image no Senia Eba.
Me pastor
and only the colours of Roman Catholic cardinals and their bishops. And they say, oh, mom. On the winning man, and I'm Yanimo. As we are a cutter.
You
into me, me at your say, I can say, and I say, I said, American. And she said, Barbara, she said, the 7th attempt in India. A baby. The baby in Sua, and I'm Bibiso, and a day, Beba. And the church and state relationship. Countries, you know, any more religion, Vatican and Dano, and a bit me a create ama the beba.
And we think sorry, any politicians, any politics, across the seas,
every country, church and state, and every area, but examples between which are not also made.
And the woman was arrayed in purple. The Philadelphia Trumpets, August 2006, wanted savior for Europe. Wanted savior for Europe.
Church state cooperation, you know, and Vatican and the countries. Because religion, you know, and I glue ever binding together. I'm here to hear who said. And no ne the bet me diaba.
The next picture here, plain truth. October 1961. The Pope will step in as the supreme unifying. Okay. The Pope will step in as the supreme unifying authority, the only one that can finally unite the different nations of Europe. Europe will go Roman Catholic. Plain truth. October 1961. I see. The next picture. Tomorrow's World. February 1970. EU. Europe United Dream of Culture. Century, sorry. I say tomorrow's world. The Philadelphia Trumpet. The Philadelphia Trumpet. June. Okay, how far? The Philadelphia Trumpet. June 2005. The Pope also started Europe down the path to religious unification. The part of Mate. Of a Maya expert in a kind now. The Philadelphia Trumpet, June 2005. The Pope also started Europe down the path to religious unification. Mr. Armstrong often talked about how a united Catholic Church would drive Europe, even over the objection of its political leadership. Bible prophecy says this European unification will be also a union of church and state, Revelation 17. Many European political leaders do not want religious domination or even participation, but they are coming to realize they cannot be welded together into one great European super nation without the unifying power of the Catholic Church. Member and co-worker letter, November 22nd, 1982.
When we now natural say, Yabadu stage a state and church relationship. Enona ebe building ama Europe. It's me kind of boom wire back. The next picture no Tomorrow's World, February 1970. EU, Europe, United Dream of Centuries. And the publication way back 1970. And the year country also the 7th attempt in India, it will be successful. The next one. The next picture no the Roman Catholic domination EU. The Roman Catholic dominated EU. But so move on to Somalia. Countries, most countries are more EU must say. They say 28 and Sana Britain for Brexit. Over 27. American 27 countries have had more. Only now predominantly only Catholics. The next picture. The next picture here. Watch out for a Catholic European Union. And when I now pussy Vatican, so the United Europe leader. Daniel say the King of the North. Your second video. But your second video no. Abodi adasoni the final restoration of the Holy Roman Empire.
More than 2,000 years ago, the legions of Rome ventured from their isolated peninsula and dominated the Mediterranean, the Middle East, and much of Europe for hundreds of years. The political system and ideals spread by the empire have continued to shape the continent of Europe to this very day. Rome may have fallen in AD 476, but the last 1,500 years have been filled with repeated attempts to recreate the essence of the Roman Empire, the unification of the nations of Europe. Napoleon, Charlemagne, and Otto the Great are among the most important figures in European history, ruling vast and powerful empires, sweeping through the continent and striving to bring diverse peoples together under a common banner. Each one saw himself as the natural successor to Augustus, Constantine, and even Julius Caesar. On today's edition of Tomorrow's World, join me as we examine today's efforts to unify Europe, past attempts at reviving the empire, and where it is all headed, the future restoration of Rome. The first restoration of Rome occurred in 554 under Justinian. Ascending to the Byzantine throne in 527, Justinian gave his greatest general, Belisarius, the task of reclaiming the lands previously held by Rome. While he did not reconquer the empire in its entirety, much of North Africa and Italy, including of course the city of Rome itself, were reunified as part of Justinian's revived Roman Empire. One of Justinian's lasting legacies would be his role in establishing the Bishop of Rome as the preeminent leader of the Catholic Church, even appointing 3 successive popes. Justinian's view of church and state as codependent, inseparable pieces are best understood through his own words. There are 2 great gifts which God in his love for man has granted from on high, the priesthood and the imperial dignity. Justinian's restoration would be short-lived, and it would be nearly 300 years before the next revival of Rome. The second restoration of Rome occurred in the year 800 under Charlemagne. Uniting much of Western Europe, Charlemagne's rule led to the Carolingian Renaissance, a period when literature, architecture, and the sciences flourished. Charlemagne was an ardent supporter of the Catholic Church and felt personally responsible for the spread of his religion. In the winter of 800, Charlemagne traveled to Rome and on Christmas Day knelt in St. Peter's Basilica when a historic event occurred. Pope Leo III took the crown and placed it on Charlemagne's head, giving him the title Imperator Romanorum, translated Emperor of the Romans. His legacy is felt to this day. For those who have revered him as the father of Europe, the greatness of Charlemagne, or Charles the Great, lies in the unifying forces he set in motion when he had himself crowned Holy Roman Emperor in the Eternal City on Christmas Day, 800 CE, by Pope Leo III. The idea of Europe's oneness has never quite died. After Charlemagne's death, weak leadership devastated his empire, and Europe was again in need of a charismatic ruler. The third restoration of Rome occurred in 962 under Otto the Great. Otto, Duke of Saxony, became known as the protector of Europe, following a decisive victory over the invading Magyars at the Battle of Lechfeld. The papacy had acquired many enemies at this time, and the Pope petitioned Otto for help. Having been rescued by Otto, the Pope then crowned him as the Holy Roman Emperor. Once again, the empire was supported through both imperial and religious measures. Otto unified many of the German-speaking states, and his kingdom is often referred to as the First German Reich. The fourth restoration of Rome occurred in 1530 under Charles V. Charles V was crowned King of the Holy Roman Empire in Aachen, Germany, the seat of Charlemagne's realm. He recognized that religion stood as his best opportunity to create a cohesive empire. A fervent Roman Catholic, Charles hoped to unite all Europe in a Christian empire. However, a continent-wide crisis was fermenting, which would cause both church and state to renew their historic interdependence, the Protestant Reformation. Despite Charles's efforts to unify Europe and revive the glory of Rome, religious wars shattered his hopes. Despite this, in 1530, the Pope granted Charles the title he had sought, crowning him Holy Roman Emperor. The fifth restoration of Rome occurred in 1804 under Napoleon. This restoration features what is no doubt an attempt to revive imperial Rome. While Napoleon allowed the Pope to anoint him, he felt that allowing the Pope to crown him would be an indication of Napoleon's subservience to the papacy. Instead, he took the crown, placing it upon his own head while the Pope watched. He is often remembered, rightly so, as one of Europe's greatest generals. His legacy as a statesman should not be overlooked, but his ambitions can be best relayed by two quotes from the man himself. "I am a true Roman emperor. I am the best of the Caesars. Tell them that I am Charlemagne, the sword of the church, their emperor." To Napoleon, the idea of unifying Europe in the spirit of the Roman Empire was a very real ambition. The sixth restoration of Rome occurred between 1870 and 1945. Throughout much of the 19th century, Germany and Italy were divided into a number of quarreling small states and principalities. By 1871, Otto von Bismarck had succeeded in uniting all of non-Habsburg Germany. Garibaldi achieved the same goal with Italy. This set the stage for two of recent history's harshest dictators. Mussolini led his fascist party to power in 1922. The party derived its name from the fasces of Imperial Rome, and Mussolini's desire to take up the mantle of the Roman Empire is well known. What may not be so well known is that the other European element of the Axis powers, Adolf Hitler, also saw himself as a modern-day Caesar and Charlemagne's natural successor. In his mind, Hitler's thousand-year Reich would serve as the natural conclusion of a process that he traced back to the coronation of Charlemagne in 800. And so we have, over the course of nearly 1400 years, 6 attempts to unify the peoples of Europe in successive restorations of the Roman Empire. Justinian, Charlemagne, Otto the Great, Charles V, Napoleon, and the Axis powers used warfare, diplomacy, and the influence of religion to fulfill the European dream. Does this dream live on today? Are we seeing the groundwork laid for a future restoration of Rome? Whether or not the European Union succeeds in becoming the vessel through which the next revival of the Roman Empire occurs is yet to be seen. However, it is the clear direction in which some European states are moving, and either through the EU or some future confederation, it is the desired result. Václav Klaus served as president of the Czech Republic from 2003 to 2013. He provides an informed voice regarding the intended direction of the EU. In an interview for Der Spiegel, he made some remarkable observations. The development of European integration can be divided into two phases. The first era ended with the Maastricht Treaty. It was a liberalization phase, with the main goal of European integration at the time being the removal of various barriers and borders in Europe. But the second phase is a homogenization or standardization phase, one that involves regulation from the top and growing control over our lives.
Video no abaminu mienu yehu enia video no eka video we ema yehu se Europe a ewo ho no Roman Empire ena chichire Europe na se Roman Empire ena chichire Europe dia na ye ka kire se Roman Empire na control wiase a mepacho wa chinine ne se isan se wiase info na control wiase ye nyina agetum se ye Europe ena control wiase se Europe na control wiase na se Europe no Roman Empire na chichire ye dia na enye Roman Empire na control wiase na hena bi na control wiase ye bisa Roman Empire no sorry ana se oman a eno no edi wiase so na sorry esan ye oman a ono odi san ne ma miere ntina o se odi sorry ne amamuo akambom enti oman bia no wo hwe oman bia sorry ene amamuo ena akambom ena control oman bia ni nyina ye Roman Empire enchi se video ne hwe ye no ama ye hu se ampa Europe Roman for ena chichire over ato
that's enti ya hwe no awie acheche nu ame When European Union, the Treaty of Rome, in its 60th anniversary, European leaders, Echo Vatican, Echo Country, they said, they are convinced beyond all doubt to say, some have a bedi, yenim, there solve your problems. If we see Europe, then pom. Ufata say obey the world leader. Make us a video no like yenko here next video.
The next video no abodi edaso no the civil and secular world is also uniting with Babylon. Pato video na crowd amofa to somai.
It is absolutely staggering to see what is happening in the world today. But God did warn us through Bible prophecy that these things would take place. And not only are the churches uniting with Babylon and the religions coming together under the leadership of the Pope and the Vatican, the civil and secular world is also uniting with the Pope and the Vatican, and a number of unprecedented meetings have taken place this past year or two. Pope Francis, in an historic event, spoke to the US Congress last year. He also met in an unprecedented meeting with the world's wealthiest and so-called most famous people last year also. And just recently, the leaders of Europe met with the Pope, hoping that he would lead them in the current problems facing Europe, with some of the leaders saying that the Pope is the ultimate world leader and only moral authority in the world. And just as Revelation 17 confirmed, the world leaders would support and give their power to the papal beast.
Yakosha video no aba na video yi amayehu se Pope ne amampanyifo ahia. Yehwe other videos abehu Pope na osane religious mpanyifo ahia. Enti asem na ofa aka no pacho wankasa judge over.
Enti sa dia wo mu kohia no wo ma ka kire no se wa na person ba be give asiso wa na eso di anima Europe etimtu anamo asem be na Pope so ka kire wo last video.
The last video, I say Pope tells EU leaders not to forget founding values of bloc.
Tengan unión verdadera.
There's a warning to EU heads of state and government not to forget the founding values of the bloc. It comes from Pope Francis in a special meeting in the Vatican on the eve of a summit in Rome to mark the 60th anniversary of the European Union's founding document, the Treaty of Rome. The Pontiff said Europe finds new hope when man is the centre and the heart of her institutions. I'm convinced that this entails an attentive and trust-filled readiness to hear the expectations voiced by individuals, society and the people who make up the Union. Sadly, one frequently has the sense that there's a growing split between the citizens and the European institutions. The Pontiff also said he believes many people have forgotten the lessons of the past and the importance of solidarity and mutual respect.
Possiamo sconfiggere il terrorismo.
The President of the European Parliament said we can defeat terrorism, solve the problem of immigration, and banish the lingering economic crisis with the scourge of youth unemployment, only if we're able to rediscover and appreciate the reasons that brought us together, he says. The Pope also warned that the European Union must not be reduced to just numbers and statistics, but it needs more of a human face.
Abisha yeda say oka me ho ma ye kohwe video yi ya kohwe video no aba na edi adanse video no edi adanse say European Union ni nyina e na akopopu na say papa wo na obitimi aboa ye ama ye nka bofu na ya adwuma. Wait, then it's Revelation of a picture little so I say the beast no any oba beast no honor oba bi etene so oba na yesi o ye harlot and of actually say you can say harlot you can oba woman e just a pure text and you can harlot woman na you say o ye dem udwamanfo church o ye dwaman Roman Empire ono and a ride beast no European Union beast no European Union no na Roman Empire na te beast no so no right no for the to see offer pe e betimi a kire o sa de we mu ama wate ase bra na besua de ofa by sorry aba
medema no esi no ade America nyina ne se ye hwe nyina ene ede se ansana Pope Francis only the last pope Obaba the world leader for 42 months and I said 3.5 years this is what the Europe need ama Europe are united under him Jada ku to TV wona o na oti say Europe akabo na Vatican ene di animu a e ma ne nya wawa e das
ofa ebusiafo da wase ahefo Ghana ahefo da wase pa ofa maya hu se ose oti ho na oti se pope ene ya announce no se wi ase hene a e ma ne nya wawa e say Bible kraka enu nti e ya de a ofa de ofa history abakosem na mpensempense ma waye no de ngoma tayachiri ha no da be no the Bible because so kind Revelation 20 now I say and the books and the book of life and there was judgment enti mpanyifo yo mo de nokure e na ebreo judgment kire se nokure enti won say books e na ofa agada yen ayake yawa nyina no ofa Israel books egu nanim no e ofa da Roma me who say books bi egumani ma e of Father Roma eno na odeka odi wia okan nyina na odi wakowie ewo book of life aye tro kunkunim na fo ma hu say na prophecy aka no ene na mohene ana ofa say ene na ye hene ana ye niso nanso ye ntiase enti woti asori dem eye o say osofo no o ye champion ata onim shi wa bon ofa say o mo educational illiterate wa bon I was out here, sorry, them say, and now to TV, and I send me out here. Unti bida, and unti, and I question there be a doer. As I say, wake up Africa, do my day. Obana betra, where TV feed you so. Now also, and somebody saying, waiting at TV, a senior, na empo, or the potential, and we are no, I can now think they are diom. But that's why I do know, you have a call, Yebra, Israel. Na adofo me time mo text message any mo WhatsApp messages no mo fambra number na da o screen so no 0206 519335 me pa cho o de ba making kan ama ododo eno nti file messages bra na yankin kan enfama bebe so yedu no yeko of Isaiah ona fe ni ewo no eja
ayi ya oye
Audio can go mega. Na let I know.
You know to go. Yo, I do so. You see, the yes, me say be viable. Oh, I want them. Yes, I have fafio. I'm saying 2 weeks ago. Oh, matter ya. Na okasa na we know.
Na we know.
Na mada.
It's your father.
Kumi?
Yes, sir.
Metia ayefo nyina. Na my happiest man.
Yes,
because man be say ya oda no ada. Onum dia baby na waka amanfo astarte efrefe na papa e concern say ye program bi say robotic age na eni papa render useless amanfo djuma ebo mo awa haya o you say Ghana Education Service teacher for no I started Emma morning. Emma morning. I'm often ever for me. And so, the BMK. So, when you're Opia, what's your name? It's if it are. That was so when you need over to you. Over to you. What can be a no? The we are a Benjamin. What to say? Openly bar, not so you know. No one you ready. Was a nano, scaling what? I bet you trade my forker. me self-employed. You know, more can maintain the apostle. Mada. You know, Kumi, your fucking piano, surely, or said them. Now, and someone can, Kumi, it has seven maffa. I did I remember for I won't say. In some women, and I left to be brain on her spirit. Your friend. Krobi Jerusalem faka omwasam se pope no bako Jerusalem obo bepe a obi echi bepe a no bia dwon kwan se oh yankopon kro yankopon man jufo no go ateno fo no go no mo obi o mpani mi kra tumi akọje bo e beto no ko se besi cathedral akọje bo awo sa asase no so and then man for one drum kakra nche bebre obi bia he bia no an gidi yakwen say Jerusalem die eyo man konkron so ko bompa ho no dia gani nkopon be na so pan ozo ozo hiska unya contract ene next week no obenya
akase oni nyamia bompu nimpu
sawa man no so no
do oni nyamia bompu nimpu
sa
I see
aban unya promotion sa o ko ye juma Jubilee House ko bo akofa do ho ban mate mema chief of staff wa fro kama ese aban ko jina Jerusalem ko ban payo Gana mampeni kwa kujina house ko bon paye ko ponti mpaye bo asafo parke ekristofo dem gu play mu dem ko Israel say e ko bon paye ho ne ko bon paye ko pon etie tumba se bako oni mi say obo ade wa ha obo Gana ha sei oni mi esan say bebre ka Jerusalem no onu say sa na tie wonne
Ojidi kura ha no nyame no ha ni so
yeah
ho de wudu anya wo nyame
bo ba no
wo wa bompu nimpu
ni kuro ho no di fa Isaiah Jeremiah
Daniel nankasa
Obadiah Zechariah ho no ni na free who odi for poku dankwa ono figana Oti din say Abraham
yes
King Yadidia of Solomon wa God David no ho na omo etie
bomo bra
nti obi bia no every crampo ekenofo crampo no they believe Jerusalem holier than the Mecca
sure pa asan kanye san ko mo pre eno mu nyina mo pre
nkenofo obi believe say Jerusalem is holier than the Mecca Komisari Muhammad Kwampo no okojina wano mu etukosoro ani ntubi he mi bia no se oman no eye konkron enemu ntiri pa maba fase BBC pour ko Jerusalem
ya brese crodon
edino obi won mo a obompa ya te minimum obi akọ Israel ba ya oti me wie mako we me dey say Jesus na ma be me wie asam na to nimu wo wie ena ma me no hia wa ni obi say ha bompa ya nkopo tie no nti sofo no ajiska do mako to o Holy Land nti no akopa bosia no do kobi nti okudwale Jordan River mu oko Holy Sepulchre no ni di kwa program ka je nse fe no Holy Sepulchre ko hu bi a edi yesu to ye na me nsa me to do na me su te tiem wade na de ma ba fire oh ma me yeah azemu ko ko sunu je me dis me bisade wa yi da afa na ho jere when na fa adaga na fa dwunu mu na say abapao o de yon foro abasapa hey Homeland pilgrimage to Homeland Nigeria mpo de afa ebu de omoka e de che tibi Joshua so abasa wo de ye ko Israel kwa mpo no a blessing take my car ena ma amafo hu say biblical de sara no no ye hu no
history no
to be freezer ba Ghana ha say you hu special human being so or you holy and say be na ofato or you gay because you for them o to concrete Amadi one of them no wale ni ya ju ni broni afa
be ma wale
yeah so no Israeli Ghana for no respect too much the way and tia of Israel and aba no be company one more on to concrete into okay Hebrew
yeah azemo
Hebrew it's the way I am holier than him because of bear matter yes when afa adaga na fa dwunu so be free Israel ba you who say or a special human being until it will ma asafo sika o Ghana say presidency for sika je mo bom paye o Israel e ma me e ti Ghana ha say
bebre aba ati aba
ena ayefo mo be do no ya mi ko magazine o me holier than them today
of course
because you play first you know King David when you go for Nanti of the Jerusalem capital of Israel the Solomon I'm from say King Yadidia obi si shadan kama e me ngopon Emma manu bi kwa mpo na fa na Queen of Sheba we did the Queen Makida of that woman book ni niye the be chaban be chow otade wait now obi who say Solomon na me die onyem no oso me nsia nfa mma no hey I see wait
onim his papa we mom there
awade bisa ada bowu no nsema wu there
we there
yeah
se Ghana for nim na
we who man we see no man ko say me ko pesika o me ko say me ko sunya ne nimdie ni bi
se ne
ena mai nipa
ejao
ebusi mo he me ko ku mi tan kan aye ntumi nyemi ti no mai nipa I become a man nimdia babu se to nimdia menton obi no ne kwa say ko pe nimdia no osafo ni skent no ote no ho ene ote uncompleted mo I build my own house my nipa yawe yeah Solomon of Famameno from the Queen of Sheba tan ba bo den me the Queen Makida time mama no du ko mo no na the car kwan so e be temple no si o ma dress ya o mo we kama me no hu say nyankopon honhom e wo ma no so e be nya Sefania Obedia e be nya Isaiah e di faka seka semina no afisa omanu mu Israel mo Nyankopɔn nantie omo tie Nyankopɔn voice first we kwampo yes odifo bi nam ka nam ko mu a omo no kotete o too holy not to watch him until the biblical Jerusalem no o hwe mi a enye Jerusalem no Nyankopɔn no nyam no ekɔ
fana dio yefi okra
Nyankopɔn ka kyerɛ Abraham say fa oba no ko ba for a particular place for the mountain Moriah because Moriah because Moriah Omwa omwe ju for that you know to for Moriah always so fancy nti wana Nyankopɔn Abraham de Solomon ne ba no ade ko ba for le no Moriah hey no go be bio enti kumi ahono so ana Nyankopɔn ma Abraham sorry Solomon o see asodan the same mountain so na Nyankopɔn ka say sa ahono the center of the world. Ezekiel 5 verse 5. Don't what feature say the center of the world, you know, Ayatama. Meridian. Thank you. They lie. Nyankopɔn kasa, boni kasa. Which one I go to choose?
Ezekiel
5 verse 5. Nti sa kuro no na eye kuro bia na ene Nyankopɔn e connection Jerusalem.
Yeah, Ezekiel chapter 5 verse 5.
Dear boni can say the center of the world no Ayatama. Mama for so agedi. Sa boni no aso obeka say e be fradu mu. Show of evolution until Ghana for Ghana is the center of the world. Ghana for the so suffering. Never pass on the chili crew or kind.
Ezekiel chapter 5 verse 5. That saith the Lord.
That saith the Lord.
This is Jerusalem.
This is Jerusalem. Jerusalem. This is Jerusalem. Quiet.
I have set.
I have.
Yes.
I have set. In the midst.
Yeah. Before I'm framing, yes, I'm line way. I say I have set it in the midst of the nations and countries that are round. I say nations. Yes. I say nation. Yes. I say I have set it in the midst of the nations.
That's you.
And countries.
That's it.
That are round about.
That is it. The people here, Omano special. Nemi awo. Na so awo. Na kuma awo. Efe say the Jerusalem. Enti Kumasi. Time na efe say Garden City no. Omo mo bedu Kumasi no. Onu di nti mo bedu ye. O tre edua ba ko. O tre edua mienu. After the answer, a man lay the road no on the timbers no, Idiano, our roadside, because Idria a young qua. It is a Tenukumasano, not in young qua. Don't say, oh, hi, Garden City. The entry of Sano, a woman, and then a change. Sasa the Salamo, and go for Bodayano, or Bodano, the name of Boducono. And to one of so unimua abaka samu abaka say titi Jerusalem no ene tanete enti sa abibudi meta bonti no
okay
abibudi when I for ya for come say me ai omo the side of the devil fighting against obade to be say I will see a kokoji kuro no near say no
history.
Yeah. Because I'm going to before from the Hebrews. I'm not going to pong unkuta wodie. We are musum nyanko pong. We are nyanko pong mama bebe kuro no.
Efekwa.
After my book be of Obakaya design for landscaping. Here see the landscaping. I did birthday Washington DC. Okay. Come back from the show.
Thank you.
Sana American capital Washington no yambele no kwa ya building no with the Masonic structure
designs ni ma hwesa yi video ni pen enu nti na wo ka se Jerusalem no tetifo se na mo building no enye no ana ye hu no meji fe me hu no
first no wo mu a
yes
na wo gbonyame obade ye tetero
yeah sir
obi na mo no mo ho se yakopon etre ni pa we se nka enu no na mo fo ni se sa na tie wonne
na nya no na ukọ Bible mu a abaye bi a na ofi Jerusalem kopie name cross a na osom okache ne madam se ukunu ne yare no se odumi cross
ya Syria
sa
Syria
sa
I'm commander of Syria
sa Asi wo do me cross we obenya yare sa
owo mo so dem ti o mo ti mi fita emi na
anya kroketwa o sa bre no
wo mo na Muhammad okaja mo say ohun nyame enkopa na aye no difo nti ko mo mra ameka na ho say hey
nyame
nyame Ishmaelite no oba akwa mpo no okwa nte Hebrews opo no nko pon wa bla ya sa oman no enenne mo fo nim se sa na tie wo tete no enne sa asemi si no se 132 133 to 135 AD we were for a transit planning. Say Kuno, or say to Kodano Kunani. The same thing not say Kuno, not yet to me the birthday the way to us, you know, I will ho. Into planning. We were for you. It's 132 to 135 AD, Achapa. Ana Obia oye general for Hadrian Musode on a dumb soldier for the Holy Land or Sekro no. My baby to know,
yeah,
we say 132 to 135 AD for Uriano Hadrian. Hadrian is HADRIAN Hadrian. Or your Roman commander, the whole day pa. I'm quite no. The one see any. Na Hebrew for no, me powerful. Na na mo no so. On peut dire na fa no ba koba.
Okay.
Ba koba. I do me kokba.
Okay.
And you tie you.
Okay.
As I focus koba, look at the tie. It's Muncie paper, so be sure. BAR.
Okay.
KOKHBA. Kokba.
Okay.
The part of Simon Bakoba.
Okay.
It is a common from Bakoba revolt.
Revolt.
Yes.
Okay.
Na enye ekunketwa. Omo kunu ibu for pa. Kunkase pa. Ama enipa ya awraho. Adenti a omo say Yakopon nyam e wokunu so te be dane kro no. Na enipa na odi hibu for nim no. Na mabod le fe no Bakoba. Na no hoden. Okunu ma for na fi de ma for no san na ebi ba. So Romans no, the whole Europe, we have no. The whole Europe, no Roman no. The whole Europe, the fact that he will follow my mother. No chip Bakoba, no kono, no Jesus for one thing. no capture Israel for nyina no fi kuro no mu e mo kɔ Rome enti oni bi no no Hebrew a na ɔhɔ no mo chomu nyina. What's the plan? The plan say the person you open nyam bo wiase. Yeah. The course no. Omo ye ya no na mo say ye wie dia ye wie. I was say chrono layout.
Structure na omo delay chrono e.
Ebe ya mo see ya. David mata tena mo nyina no. Yesu mata tena mo nyina no. Say the setting round.
Including the wall.
Oh,
omo see
come down.
Tene wailing warrior.
David.
Roman for
ever see ya. Wailing wa mo de hom paye, omo de na akofo de ko je ko hom paye kwa sa wall no. Enye tetero no, nye bia. Buku bu ase.
Yeah.
Nkasa kwa.
Minimza nkasa kwa.
Yeah, ko buku ase.
Hebrew ni.
Buku no bakasa no kwa.
Yes. Afa buku dan kwa na.
Na me wi a me de video be tato. Na hwe video ni wi a wo ba ho. Kumi so what transfer my own.
Yeah.
Transfer my. Yeah. Hwe ablabo eyiye. Na bo yankopon ahobase mpa ba mu. Obeti mpa ba.
No crepa. No crepa.
So what me de what ya. Hwe ababa obo no yiye. So be ya de etene. Na bo yankopon wakoko mu mpaye. Obeti mpa ba. Ele so be trepe ticket. So me ko Israel akobo mpaye. Nyame na ho no ene wa hange owiem. So when you look at Israel, you don't try to go there. Land may be a no, but such as a whole and then assassin.
Nyame ni onyam ne nyame kwan ofa so a ye kuro no ene ya dane no.
No. Ku omo ya sa no. Sa na omo de prevent omo de Christianity. Eye European abosonsom no akowam. Almost all the Sano, no, maybe our church, it's called Christianity, no, and Israel. No, maybe almost from them, break or mukum sacrifice. Kotobato, Kotia, so the entire sense of Botono, we are not must be beer, the council. In so good Quasoria, to the Christiania, only the son, if you buy it. There, it's no. Adrian eyesa afide oshinipa nipa wupa otche mo makanyina nkokore slave e wo room nto be say me wi dia ade ase ne say ede bia wa bia no yemuri nyina ngu yeah yemuri nyina ngu ade bia wa bia mo sine kopon bia no ye fa come back to room nyanya every pin kwa ha say nyanya no koloni ene no second room
anunti na pope person pope ni da so
ento de bia so mo si asoda no our reference mountain temple mount first Mount Moriah onko see adam abosom Jupiter na ko see da ma Jupiter na mo play kwa for there yeah na ubia udane ya Hebrew udane ya osi bia ahota benti no okọ asaso so bia mu no echiwa na ekun yeah na start it
you are marking no
yeah shase
pato book na odi amame no Hadrian's renaming of Jerusalem Hadrian's renaming of Jerusalem by Steve Hill after the bloody and costly defeat of Bar Kokhba, Hadrian decided that Jerusalem must be forever destroyed. In AD 70, the 10th Roman legion was left to control the ruins. This time, however, Hadrian ordered the city to be plowed over and rebuilt as a Roman city. Hi.
Adi biala tetefori yeye ebi na edi fo no fa ebi omo so Nyankopon Kresheba o say the book ni o tell me do Israel no no who say sana onye nipa
sana ni kuro ni
onye nipa
Ethiopia no
ya bibi kuro no the laws and commandment of Jehovah also say Ethiopia no esun wo snake worship ba also do kuro no who say wa yira onye nipa what you got on the presence when of war I destroy you now I'm going to say yeah so cool we say Jerusalem built if you not come you come you're born and not going soon yeah so cool Elia Capitolina also the idea no
baby
Elia Capitolina Capitolina no and it from Muslim Jupiter
kisa omo de bosom ni din kra na
I saw kwa santimamu na wo ka se antwa e bi ka ho antwa nyama
sa
antwa ni kru na ma na etumi ni din
sa okay
antwa ni kru
okay
na ma na etumi ni din
okay
enti Roma fo no mo bo Capitolina Jupiter ya mo Jupiter no kwa ntwa de edin no Capitolina no she bosom no animunyam ha de to aso
yeah to aso yes I say fi a pig we no
yes sir
okay a pig was carved over one of the gates to honor the 10th legion that had wrecked the city under Titus. A temple to Jupiter a temple to Jupiter was erected at the site of Solomon's temple.
What? A hano no enna hono nkemofo esi omodan esi Dome of the Rock.
A statue to Hadrian was erected on the spot that had been occupied by the Holy
of Holies. Concrete biano.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm not going to be bia. If you get for I want to make it plain to them. Say, if see a crazy vampire, are you who the rather? Cool magazine.
Nako vampire cry.
Of course, I'm not baby. Vampire. Asano. Pass away.
Miraho.
Next week, no. Rubber more.
Miraho. Hebrews were forbidden in this new city.
That's it. New city. It sounds say. I'm going for. The second room. The room no out no. Edia ba abaya kuro no. Nti okomua say David the best okomua o hunu fie kwan.
And any Hebrew caught trying to enter was crucified.
Yes. Forbidden any Hebrew man be Hebrews
were forbidden in this new city, and any Hebrew caught trying to enter was crucified immediately.
So say you go born to see kun. Sahara no na sabe bema yen twa bema na enu. You go paka tell them say wo bema in 2020 na na ho nte. Et Hebrew bia no we were 7 days no near trap. Man, we have made you chrono. I mean, say, we yamra that one. Wa, Babama. I will try to Baman Biano, the book. I saw the Sabi, the hot bottle, of Nancy Chrono. I'm not telling you, go lost upside down. Why?
I say. Only one exception was made to this on the 9th day of Ab each year. For a fee, a Hebrew could enter the city and pray for restoration of the temple. Jerusalem was renamed Elia Capitolino.
Elia Capitolina.
Jerusalem was renamed Elia Capitolina. Elia was Hadrian's middle name. Capitolina was in homage to the pagan god Capitoline, Jupiter. Circumcision and study of the law were outlawed. Hebrews who had been converted to Christianity were overcome in the city, but could be challenged to show that they had not been circumcised.
No, the church. No, the church, no. And I did be a free man. Ah, no, actually, and then Elba. Christianity, no, the back. Until they say, oh, you take over there. Then be a, you can't be a, no. I'm going to
do them. Hebrew slaves. Hebrew slaves so flooded the market in Rome that the price for a slave actually became cheaper than the price of a horse.
That's it. Horse.
Abba.
Hebrew no. You don't mean now for Jerusalem.
I could be a room.
No market.
I'm a yet one. Nampo, a boy, a diamono. Horse. A year upon board ding chain. Hebrew near.
Yes.
You're not copy a woman.
Yeah. Roma for no. Now, if you want to be, me time into no. Me time into no. But say, ma'am, I'm not for whom say, they make kind of memoir. Now, I'm going to next week, no. A beye gumbi. Chrono, almost say no. Almost say chrono. Never had the say, video be a baby, you know. You really are much so. Now, I'm fortunate. Afre. Who say, some can memoir. And there is a man. The whole Arabian Peninsula. Baby, a Jamaican. A what? 26. Yeah. You just so we know baby I want no do huni na bo yakopon paye obadan ne ma atuma wie di ama when you say Israel no and not say na check no dabi mama video no ai
MCR pastor producer my video no to so my na Ghana mafo enhwe
share the same
of Israel, a small country with more than 9 million population, located in the Middle East, bordered by Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, and of course the Gaza and West Bank. Impressive development for a small country and surrounded by Muslim neighbors. You must be wondering if this place is boring and without any nightlife entertainments or red light district. Well, you are half right. Israel's diverse culture stems from the diversity of its population. The red light district can be found in Tel Aviv, the party capital in the Middle East. The city has a lively nightlife and a 24-hour culture. Tel Aviv is consistently ranked as one of the top LGBT destinations in the world. And is also known as the city that never sleeps. In 2014, the Welfare Ministry estimated between 11,000 to 12,000 sex workers. Of them, some 95% are female and 5% are male. Until the end of 2018, an estimated 62% of the brothels and 48% of the massage parlors in the country are in Tel Aviv. The meat trade was once thriving, and the industry was worth $318 million in 2016. There were several laws and legislation being passed over the years to control human trafficking and prostitution, but it was rarely enforced or ineffective. In December 2018, a proposed bill was passed to criminalize people who buy sex, while the sales of sex is legal. That means selling sex is legal, but purchasing of sex is not. The offender can face a fine of $615 for their first offense, and about $1,230 for repeated offense within 3 years. This unique sex trade legislation that made purchasing in the old central bus station area, but it was nothing glamorous like the walking street in Pattaya or Geylang in Singapore. The area is often associated with illegal workers, prostitution, drugs and crimes, a place where tourists would not want to be. Here, you can find street prostitutions, boom boom bars, indoor brothels, and sleazy massage shops. As a popular destination for the LBGT, 1/3 of the sex workers here are transgender individuals. According to the Welfare Ministry, there were 26,500 men purchasing sex every night in Israel. Over 90% of these girls were sexually abused as children. Some of these women started prostitution as young as 12 years old. Most of the prostitutes came from Russia, Eastern Europe, China, and Ghana. Some arrive on tourist visa to make a quick buck. Some have nowhere else to go. And some are victims of sex trafficking. For the sex workers who are stuck in this trade, 60% to 90% of them are drug addicts. Many of them had to work in the meat trade to finance their drug addiction. For the others, they too have their own problems and challenges. Poverty, childhood abuse, and withdrawal from the society and family. For the short-term stayers, they are being transferred from one location to another and from one customer to another. The women in the red light district live day by day, earning as little as $15 for each services and had up to 30 customers in a day. They also have to split their earnings with their pimp. Most of them were not able to get a job in the country due to all kinds of personal and social reasons. The conditions in the red light district was bad. Many are homeless and sleep on the streets or just anywhere they could. For the lucky ones, they are able to rent a cheap apartment or sleep in the shop where they work. The streets at night turn into a scene from a dystopian movie. Drug addicts, drug dealers, prostitutes, illegal workers, homeless people, and a street full of garbage. These are the common sights you will see every night. The social welfare organization had offered help and a place to rest for the sex workers. But because of the lack of volunteers, they couldn't keep the place open for a whole day. Since the passing of the bill in 2018, almost all the sleazy massage shops and brothels in rented rooms are closed. Street walkers could still be found, but they are getting fewer each day. The welfare organization are actively trying to help these women to live a better life away from the meat trade and addictions. For those who stay on, they have moved their operation to look for clients online or through phone apps like WhatsApp to avoid the police. There are also graffitis on the walls to direct people to a secret location where they could find prostitutes.
Video no aba na yenyina yehu Ghana for yenyina yewo na areho we David Crow Solomon Ken Yadivia Ikro no nanka utu anamoko wa sabri ndi na udu a be hu sa woni nyankopon abompu ni mpu ampa ene kro no enie we ena Ghana fo asofo no mafa Ghana fo ni etua sika puduo pilgrimage ye ko Wellington akobọ mpa ye Jesus be bia esie no ya oma vandalize ni nyina o oma sei ni nyina ene Roman fo asei ni nyina na sa akofo ne de oma ye dada fo ane oma sande Christianity abeto ye so a asanje ye aye ji ye hu bia ye ndi a o kakura na ye nti ase eno video no for Israel ma ya ge eja
time ntino nyankopon boa ene week se oko Israel e bia ju fo nka se aha ena David oye say aha Solomon oye say hana Yesu oye say ayo omo no mo yeye omo de jiska ene no kore next week no fo mo drum papa de si so because okonya nyankopon kuro ko bompa ya ye koso no ye bo Ghana kan ho
ye bo ye ti Ghana pa yo
ahon pe nje ni
me da se agefo eda wase pa yo ebam to mo fa number ni to so na afrefo no emfre na fe ye ni omo eni nkomo sanse ye ni omo ana dwumadi edi na ye gusu twen omo no obi se hello me ba to frefo afre asim odin ni baby afrefi hello frefo afre aba dwumadi ni so odin ni pakon afrefi
jaman se pa program de jam de play and show pa poko dan fa ni wa ko na da wa pa so de jam bi aju was the chairman bra Chibio senior or head program for Shanfa.
Yo, yeah, that's it. Okay. Hello, please. I am Apia Michael, watching you live from Techiman. Thanks for your good job. Yes, so yeah, that was it. Thank you for.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Pray for our first sympathy. Baby, our friend Finudi.
Pacho, from evangelist, driver, Adana General. Because it's a Denita Grade, Western region.
Yo, yet you.
Papa, Papa, don't come and bear me. Only has me John Papa, one man there. I am some Papa. The Mabbe had a come butter to die. Osimo, catching a generation. When you enter Yansem, you said it didn't know Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 12. Yeah, I didn't there. I saw Pina was by one night, but so the bay, I saw Papa being what the appropriate watching. I saw a letter from Dan Wallabar. That is John chapter 4, 1 to 5. Young Tony, I know about soon as I saw some very adoration, Papa Bono, or Titoyan. And it's a one and a Sabakan. Psalm 66 by 7. The mere queer being as young Kupana, yes, Mono, yes, show me that living away, I mean. What's in your papa, the entire as you do. The Antonia, I mean, I'll share sooner about not as Norrish and now, Costello and Kupani war, Psalm 14 by 1. I know two about not as his solution and could that. Then soon I'm soon going in there. Let's take me as of you one. What chain colo, but you know, but the market at 5:30 I consider the master me out. But I say, I'm sure I'm one by the baby will be our Jesus Christ. Living out in amen. That's what we did the quality. The free Bencha West, Bethlehem. The chairman says right, and then young papa, and I did the answer to Kudankwa. And I pay, and then you're being a fair bomber basso, and the Sedaton on call, and your mamma would make it bad than you now, Madame Maya. The slow body in a say, on come home. Now, Mokoswama in the dear, any Chilapa, the boy, and young King, or by the Yakopono, the Twanamo, when I miss Ramo. So much.
Yeah, that's it. You are telling the truth. God bless you, please. Send my greetings, my dad, Mr. Dankwa. Daddy is your son, Nana Jewu from Trede. You pray for our first in Bacho within Papa Griffin.
Hello?
Yeah, within Papa Griffin, it's your bar.
But I'm going to make a little bit.
Okay, it's you.
Yo, Mama Basso Bebre, and Coupon, Islam Bebre, the Shias from Quamade, Maya. But tell me, Saka said, send me a church, Monoa, the church of my Bible, Nana, a church. Don't put the name of the break, but I send it be 7 say. Just no, as I say a day, the moon, I wear to my pamphlet, and I'm not telling you, I'll fear the year to my, and I say, yeah, the year to because. I can't have me as a more say having be in the hot. They have the answer and in the person because I say, Bible no, see the year Juma, and as I said,
you are saying the truth because years back, France 24 broadcast demonstrated, marched in the streets of Jerusalem demanding the rights of LGBTQ. And home of prostitution from Yao, Rasta, Aguna, Nkwanta. Yo, but your friend for a first Mudini, Papa Afrefi.
But you very much me, Papa,
me, Pato Yentio.
If I told you the same thing, every level, Muslim celebrities and the Korean one.
But also, Babium.
Me see Muslim, any Christians, or Korean one.
Ah, okay, me pato. Obisa say Muslims, any Christians, omo ko heaven back one. Na you mpany fati what's
because as I see so I want.
Yet you. Okay. Ras Kwame. Me pato, hello. I'm Ras Kwame. I love your program too much. May Yah bless you all. Okay, yeah, that's it. Yah bless you too. Hello. Yes, yes, yo. Papa Afrefi Nudin.
Hello.
Hello, good
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The battle, and I'm going to say, damn me a program.
Okay, yes,
Let me work with me.
Okay.
The word give me try, I'm going to Israel.
Oh, Israel, so.
Someone be a
yo.
Then you know, and you are costing reaction.
Question that be a
Masha do, and I'm a word because that be a masha.
Yo, nothing.
Papa, Namisrano.
Oh, Israel, so.
Namisrano, Papa.
Yes, that's it. Good afternoon. Please, are you lying to the innocent viewers that Hadrian brought Christianity into Jerusalem after he invaded Jerusalem when they revolted? I don't see a white name. Yo, pray for our friend Abbasum Pacho within if I call Frefi.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. If I told within if I call
Pacho, what's that me Albert? Make a sefra.
Okay, Pacho, you too.
Edin Canabo Mabasone, Pamoye, Edebois.
Okay.
If we are say any Ghana. Of a poku down kwa the presentation no mono. No can be say Israel Besayako conquer Jerusalem. And sana another year final battle. Because we as he said Roman for Besayako Jerusalem. Na omo a capture adia your mind. And then the final event is sana ye baba. Na maybe say Jerusalem ya no according to history no. The Bible so come church say Onyankopon be restore Jerusalem no bio. Nti so for poku dan kwa ka say Roman for be gi ansa na e die wie na ba. Brebe na Onyankopon be restore Jerusalem no.
Yo.
Basem no.
So yo. And before at the wasem no. My baba. Greetings to my elders calling from. Okay, but of Refa, what friend Abedimadi Sudin, and if I call Frefi.
Hello?
Yeah, hello. Within if I call Frefi.
Papa, your family, Nana Bonsu.
Okay.
Bacha in the Papa Puno.
Yo, that's what you.
Yo, Papa, and to see a more and the more church living on Babiane and Anonymity. The person bisa in your penny say, Israel no, na all can want someone according to Bible no, according to Nisisi no. Israel no, abaya event room for there. Sisi ya ngata. You be aye you have to be a Roman for na. The church and aye. Esika ye because we say no some na yemfasika kwa ntabiano ayediane na wodi kusiwo openyado a na wodi bedu ana minkeya kusiwo openyado a no wafa ye open minkeyo so ba no wafa ndisisi a sebi so ba die no wo na washa mankofo aye isi necho waji onyame manyina because sikana ye say ye boni no ba dia hwe ama man introduce dia breye ama ye di so many years ye boni ye wo boni ni wache ye yenye dey papa
yeah that's it okay abusia ye beda ahwefo nyina ase se kwesi adai omutena omufidie ho na dwumadie omode amaye senia ye de asomwom senia dai kwesi adabia ye de somwom no ene enso so aha na berebe ma ye kwan ama ye de dwumadie no nyina aba no ewie ye ibacho ebia na wa asembisa bi ebia na bibi hawo opese obisa asem ana opese upechechiremu bia number obafeni 0244 686557 0244 686557 weni number ofra ipacho nchiremu bia uhia no onsa ebeka empanifo ameni omdi dwumadie ene ofaya opoku dankwa awoye national executive director de Maku FN Freedom Mind Movement oni Israel Nkrumah no say national coordinator de Maku FN Freedom Mind Movement me a midi dwumadie mu chiame midi ene Kofi Kumi akramo